Hey guys, it's your friend Dwayne here, and I'm back again with another Your Monday Mandate, where it's always my heart to see you guys live out a victorious week, one of spiritual growth, fruitfulness, personal development, and relational impact. And I'm excited about our session today because I'm talking about space, the final frontier. And if you heard that statement just now, I bet some of you would have began to remember the Star Trek theme song. Star Trek was one of my faves when I was growing up, and you'd hear it come on evenings. And as a little boy, my cousin again would invite me over to the TV as he sat there and watched Star Trek, and we'll just take it in together. And you remember hearing those words, space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And then it will take off with the theme song, and we'll all just be right there getting into it. Now, that may not have been you, but it definitely was me. I'm a sci-fi freak. I love it. But guys, today I don't want to talk to you about that type of space. And I know for some of you, I led you on. You might have thought this was going to be a sci-fi episode this Monday, but no, it's not. I want to talk to you about the other dimensions where space expresses itself. And there are three dimensions particularly. We're going to be talking about exploring space and what that looks like. We're also going to be talking about creating space and what that means for us. Then we're going to be talking about holding space and how powerful that can be in just not affecting your own life, but also affecting the lives of others. Well, the first dimension of these three compartments of space that I want to discuss with you today is that of exploring space. And what does that mean in regards to your week ahead? How can you explore space? And again, not the space in the heavens above, but exploring space in regards to the opportunities that are around you, but that are oftentimes hidden from you. And it is not that God wants to hide them, but sometimes within our own mental capacity, we limit ourselves to seeing the very things that are right in front of our eyes to bless us. I think of the story of Hagar in Genesis 21, and what happens to her in that story is that she is there with her son Ishmael. He's about to die there in the wilderness, and she is crying out to God. She is so devastated that she has to take some steps away from her son because he looks as if he's just going to die. And in that moment, what happens? God visits her and he says to her, look, open your eyes and see the well that is right there in the midst of your wilderness. And there are oftentimes in our lives many wells that surround us, but like Hagar, we can find ourselves just so mentally depressed, so mentally disturbed, so mentally challenged by the circumstances that we are just fighting through, that we begin to lose our hope. We begin to lose our imagination, our capacity to see. And I believe in this week, God wants to renew that in us. He wants to renew our imagination. He wants that in the midst of the hardness that you're going through, that you would know that He has an expected end, a future and a hope in this. And He wants to lift your head today so that you can have expectancy about that future and hope. You see, with expectancy comes the desire to explore. And with that desire to explore, again, God creates and stirs within us curiosity on the inside of us. And my heart's prayer for you is that curiosity would be stirred in the inside, not towards bad, but the good that is right there in front of you, the wells in your wilderness that God has brought before you to supply you. For you see, when Hagar saw that well, she was able then to take her son who was almost dead, that thing that she had birthed, and bring him back to life. And let me tell you, there are some things that you might have birthed. There's some things that you might have started, some projects. And God is saying He wants to bring those things back to life. But first, He desires that you would see beyond the circumstances that are right in front of you and know that there is a future and a hope, that there is an expected end of good that He's prepared for you. A table, David said, the psalmist said, He's prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. So whatever enemies are fighting you, don't let them rob you of that desire to explore. One of the things about Star Trek was that as they explored new worlds, they would encounter enemies and they would encounter friends, but the enemies they encountered did not deter them from continuing along their adventure. I want to encourage you. You might have met some enemies. You might have met some things that may have knocked the wind out of your gut. and you feel like you can't go again, well, I am encouraging you today. Rise up and get going. Let that imagination come alive. Let your thoughts be expansive regarding all that God can do. May you dream big again, think big again, and may you have the capacity to explore the space that God has put all around you. May you look at life with a new lens, and that is a lens of hope, and that great things can still happen for you. The second dimension of these dynamics of space that I want to talk about is creating space. Now, if exploring space calls for imagination, well, creating space calls for intention. And this is the space now that we need to take out of our week, of our moments, of our hours to dedicate towards the skills that we possess, the craft that we possess, again, the gifts that we possess, and bringing them to a next level. There is nothing that you have within your capacity that cannot grow right now. There is no ceiling that should limit you from thinking that you have arrived and you've got it all together. You're not growing, you're always growing. And this week ahead, I want you to think about how you can create space, how you can be intentional, okay, about carving out moments where you can nurture what you already have and begin to create space to bring that thing into a greater place of prominence and into a greater place where it can be a blessing in your life. Listen, I love to play the keyboard, and I remember buying a course, and I kept saying, listen, I got to get back to that course. I bought this lovely course teaching me about all these things, how to expand and build on my gifts. But you know what? I've made a determination that, God, I'm going to carve out time. I'm going to spend at least an hour on this particular day this week. I'm going to go over at least one course and go through it so that I can make my gift better. Okay? Remember the talents with the gift, the one that had 5, the one that had 2, and the one that had 1. What happened? Well, the one that had 5 put it to use and enhanced it so much that he had 5 more in the end to present. The one that had 2 did the same. He doubled his measure because he created space, okay? And so we want to create space. We don't want to be like the person who is always crying about, oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I don't have the time. Trust me, in the 168 hours that you have in a week, you have the time. We need to budget our time wisely. And in doing so, we then need to carve out moments where we can dedicate again in order to create on a greater level. So be intentional, okay, about creating space, because as your gift grows and as it blossoms, it will open up space and it will open up greater realms of impact and service whereby you can make your world a better place. And so, guys, I charge you, create space this week to nurture something that you already carry. Create space this week to press in and finish, again, the reading of those books that you already started, that you said you'd get back to, okay? Create space this week to finish that course that you started, but you got stuck halfway through. Create space, again, to be a finisher this week. And last of all, the third dimension of space that we want to talk about today is what I call holding space. And this is where we are sensitive now of those that are around us. Again, the ones that are in our capacity to impact and influence friends, family, again, even strangers. May God show you how you can hold space for another. And if exploring space calls for imagination, if creating space calls for intention, then holding space calls for intuition. We must have empathy and sensitivity to those around us so that we are not the ones just doing all the talking, but we're also listening to others. We're also lending a shoulder that others can lean upon, because you know what? There'll come times when you'll need a shoulder to lean upon, and what you sow, my friends, you will also reap. So find a way to hold space for someone. Sometimes that's listening to your parent. I don't know about you, but I have a mom and she calls me, and again, she's telling me of her heart. And I love just to listen and just to be there to hold that space. Again, whoever is in your life that you can be there for, I want to encourage you, be patient with them, hold space for them, because there will come a time when you will desire that for you. And I'm encouraging you today that if you sow the seeds now, you'll reap them later. So hold space and be a friend to someone who needs a place of comfort, a place of embrace, a place of friendship. So guys, these are your 3 charges. These are the 3 dynamics of space that I want you to explore today. And may you break into new frontiers as you go forth and as you set aside time to make these things that we've spoken about a reality in this week and in the weeks ahead. God bless you. Have a fantastic week. And let me hear from you about the testimonies you begin to reap as you begin to do this. I want to hear your stories as well. So feel free to DM me, message me, let me know again how you're putting this into action and the impact that you're seeing through it. So bless you, friends, and have a fantastic week.